Hey guys, we are back for Bandcamp Dailies number 33. And we got a bunch of listens. So, it sort of seems like maybe it was my girlfriend that listened to all of these songs. Maybe she wanted something to watch on Monday, the start of the week, because she knew I'd make a video about this. No, it wasn't her. But I can pretend. By the way, I noticed on YouTube today that there was tornado warnings down in the southern U.S. So that's kind of scary. I don't know if that's today or tomorrow, but pretty intense. I know southern U.S. gets tons of tornadoes, but I know Texas gets the most. I'm assuming Oklahoma gets a whole bunch as well. And so I have a humongous text file right here. And so we're going to have a little bit of an intro here. A little bit of an intro. I mean, there are 11 songs, but we're only going to be listening to, 4 of them. 2 different albums, but 4 songs total. So just a heads up. I've been working on some more comedy sketches. So I was going to record some scenes today, but I forgot that I needed a prop. So I had to buy a small little prop on Amazon today. For some reason, it's not showing up until Tuesday. So this is for Loser Fag number 2, the second iteration of that series, and it's going to be called Modern Chicks. So I'm looking forward to recording that. The script is all done. Everything's ready. I just have to film the scenes and then edit the video. But I need my prop. I need my little prop. I forgot about it. And I'm also working on a new EE video. So that should be fun. It's kind of funny because I had an idea for a new EE video a while ago. And so I had that idea. I wrote down the ideas into a text file and had like the sequence and all that. I didn't write out the script yet, but that was going to be the next EE video. And then shortly before I went to Mississauga, like a couple days before, this idea popped into my head, not for a video, but just this idea. And it made me laugh really hard. And so then over the next day or two, probably just the next day, I kept thinking about that idea. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to make a video about this. And so that's my problem. If an idea makes me laugh, I have to make a video about it. Even if it's really inappropriate or really strange, I have to make a video about it. And so that is going to be the next EE video. And I was going to say something else, but I don't remember what I was going to say. Maybe I should consult my text file. Oh yeah, so because I kept thinking of different elements to add to the idea. And so I wrote down a whole bunch of ideas into a text file. And I haven't written the script yet, but I will do that over the next couple weeks and film the scenes for that. So that should be pretty cool as well. It's just the scenario makes me laugh. And there are a couple jokes in there that really make me laugh as well. Anyway, I'm really, really pumping it up, aren't I? That one's going to be called The Genie. I don't know if I said that. So we have 2 new comedy sketches that are coming up in the next few weeks. And so we're not done the intro yet. We're still on the intro. Also, Chick-fil-A. I missed out on Chick-fil-A. There was a Chick-fil-A in the mall, in the Square One Mall in Mississauga. I saw it multiple times. I love fried chicken, but I just didn't go there. I only had 3 meals that I could. I only had 3 available meals when I was there, and so there were just too many options. And I feel like I missed out on Chick-fil-A. Because when else? I've never been there my entire life. So when am I going to be there again? So I feel like I missed out on an opportunity there. That's sort of like the story of my life, missing out on failed opportunities. So unfortunately, I missed out. Yeah, I mean, chicken sandwiches. I don't know what kind of food they have there. I know that's chicken, but I like chicken tenders. Chicken anything. So I missed out on that. All right. So the last the last piece of the intro. We have one more piece of the intro. So it's going to be popcorn. We're going to be talking about popcorn. So the past couple episodes, I have been eating popcorn, and I've been trying new varieties of popcorn. So I mentioned I got a popcorn maker and a 10 variety pack of kernels for Christmas. And so I started off on the Midnight Blue. I had that for many episodes in a row. It ended up being very, very good. And then I thought, okay, let's try some of the other varieties, you know? And so I started doing that. And then I immediately realized that I only like the hull-less varieties, or the ones with small hulls. So like the outside of the kernel. So when you pop it, there's like nothing to get stuck in your teeth. So that's the ones, those are the ones I wanted to go after. And so here's the Midnight Blue, by the way. I brought everything with me. Okay, so Midnight Blue, I don't know if you can read that or not. It is blue. It doesn't pop up blue, it pops up white, but it does look cool. And so this says small, hull-less, just a little crunchy. And so that was the one I started with. And then the one after this, I had one that was normal. It didn't have small hulls or whatever. It was just regular. But the hulls were just extremely noticeable, and they got stuck in my teeth. So after that, I went for Ladyfinger. And this is smallest of the hull-less. And then they're very, very small. I don't know if you can even see that on the camera, but they're very, very small. This was quite good, but I think I preferred the Midnight Blue. And then there was a bit of a lull in the Bandcamp Dailies. I think there were 2 days or 3 days, I don't remember, that I did not record an episode. And so I took that out as an opportunity to try some more popcorn. And so last night, or the next night, 2 nights ago, I tried out the red version. This says red fewer hulls. And this one is the coolest looking. It's like a very dark red. But all of these pop out as just white. So, but it does look cool. The kernels look very cool. This was very good. I really, really like this. This is probably on par with the Midnight Blue. And then last night, I tried purple. So purple says tender, less hulls, more flavor, higher in antioxidants. Okay, I didn't know popcorn had antioxidants. So there's the purple. It looks very similar to the Midnight Blue. However, it is noticeably purple. So this, just like, this is bigger than the red. I wonder if it's bigger than the blue. I feel like it's slightly bigger than the blue. The thing with the blue is not all of them popped. And so sometimes you get stuck with a really hard piece. This popped out better than the blue. Yeah, this was really good. The purple was really good. The red was really good too. The red is smaller. So I guess it depends on what size of popcorn you want. And so there's one more left in terms of the small hulls or the no hulls. So this is medium white hull-less. So this is just like a normal white. This says, I have not tried this. So this is what I'm going to be trying tonight. All right. And size-wise, it looks medium, I guess. Hence the word medium. Okay. But we do have some extra, the red and the purple. Those are the stars so far, including the Midnight Blue. But I think I even like the red and the purple more than the Midnight Blue. So tonight we're going to be doing the medium white hull-less, and we shall see what the winner is. Okay, is that finally the end of the intro? I think it is. And I still have a ton of stuff in my text file to talk about the actual songs. Okay, so we have a bunch of listens. However, we've done videos about all of these except for Shard 1, Shard 2. And and what? Kansas City Shred 2 and Donkey Kong Country Whistle. Yeah, okay. So I think we're going to start with the Shard 1 and 2. All right, so this is from Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror 2002. This is the first session of Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror. This was way back in the year 2002. A long time ago. This was, I was 19 back then, and I was legal. Actually, I think in Canada you can drink when you're 19. So I was also legal for drinking. Now, before we do anything, we're going to change the artwork. So let's do that right now. 66. Someone downloaded something. What? Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror 2006. Someone downloaded that. Must have been today or yesterday. Oh, it was what is that? May 24th. That was yesterday. Huh? I didn't know that. That's cool. I was not prepared for that. Okay, so let's go. I had memorized that I had 664 free downloads left. So let's delete that. And we have to figure out where the album art is. It's this one right here. Okay, there you go. There's your original album art from the year 2002. Update the album. View the album. Okay, so here's your artwork. Now, this was done in... So you can see it says, in the end, the last breath of the dying and Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror. That's what the text says. So this is what I sent to the record label that I sent my music to in order to try to get signed and become super famous. And they did sign me, and I signed a contract. And what am I trying to say here? Yeah, so I sent them like a double album. So Last Breath of the Dying, we talked about that before. That was my album from 2001. And then the Last Breath, Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror 2002, which is this. It's an 18-song demo, basically. It was sort of like a double demo. And now the artwork, this was done in, I think it was Paint Shop Pro. I think this is what I had. It had some sort of function where it could like randomly generate something. So this was randomly generated, this picture, but not the text, but the picture in the background. And I liked it because it looked like mist, but then it also looked like a heart. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, looks like a heart. And then I added the text later, but then I lost like my project file, and this was on like, I don't know, 2 or 3 computers ago. So, but there is your artwork. Okay, what's after the artwork? Randomly generated. Talk about okay, so the demo. This is the demo. 18 tracks. You can see the names are sort of all over the place. So, 2001, I finished The Last Breath of the Dying when I was 18. Yeah, so I'll read it. I started writing this album immediately after finishing The Last Breath of the Dying in 2001 because I wanted to write faster songs that were more brutal, where the riffs would change more often and more quickly, and with better drum programming. This was finished in 2002, and I called it Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror demo, which I released along with The Last Breath of the Dying as a split album. This was the original track list of the Forever Trapped in Broken Mirror demo. However, in 2006, I cut some of the tracks for the final album that Blood Bucket Productions released in 2008. Oh, that's right. Dave did vocals on 2 of the songs. I forgot about that. Okay. July 4th, 2002. Okay. So what was I going to say? Yeah, the demo. So I finished Last Breath of the Dying in 2001, in August 2001, finished recording that. So I was 18 at the time, and it was a big stepping stone for me. That was my first album, my first full album that I had finished recording, because I pretty much only done demo songs before that. So that was a big stepping stone. However, pretty much immediately after I released that, or I finished recording that album, I obviously listened to it a bunch, and I just got sick and tired of the songwriting on it. It really bothered me, and so I started immediately writing new music to replace that, to replace The Last Breath of the Dying. And this is what I did. I started on Shard 1. And so Shard 1, we're going to listen to it eventually, but it is, just like I said in the description, it is faster. It is more brutal. It's got better drum programming, and the songs are shorter. I don't know if I said that or not. I probably did. And less repeating riffs. Because that was something I noticed in The Last Breath of the Dying. I like play the same riff a bunch of times, and I go to a new riff, play that a bunch of times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this one, I wanted to sort of compress the song structures more. I wanted the riffs to change more often, and which would generate shorter songs as well, also with the faster speed. So I started writing this album, and I've talked about it when we talked about Last Breath of the Dying, how I feel like that album doesn't really hold up very well. There are parts of it that I still like, but I wrote that when I was so young that most of it I just think is stupid now. Whereas with this, Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror, I think is really cool still, generally. Some of these I'm not so hot on, but overall it's definitely better than The Last Breath of the Dying. And I'm just trying to think how I want to form my thought here. Overall, it's definitely better than The Last Breath of the Dying. In Shard 1, this was sort of, I talked about how Eternal Slumber, the one that's on Ancient Tales from the Forest of Death from the year 2000, that was like my anthem back in high school when I wrote that song. I really liked it, but then I ended up hating it, and I didn't include it on The Last Breath of the Dying. And then so my next anthem sort of turned into this song, Shard 1. And I still think it's a really cool song, because this was sort of like the beginning of how I wrote something here about that. I worded it very nicely. So I just want to say it. Yeah. So, okay, this is what I wrote. This song is where I really started to develop my signature sound, using dissonance with notes one fret away from each other. And I can't really show you because I don't have a guitar, but I'll show it to you I'll try to show you when we actually listen to the song. I don't want to, I'll keep talking about it. So there are 18 tracks. You may notice some of them are called shards. Others are called parts. And we go back to the shards. I talked about this before, but for Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror, I wanted to write a really, really big album, a huge album. And so that's what I did. I started writing an album that had a ton of songs on it, and I got up to 18 songs for this one, and this was just the demo, but I continued writing more songs after this. So the album that was released by Bloodbug Productions has 37 songs, but only the ones that are called parts, these are not included on the album, because the final album got so big that there just wasn't enough room on a CD to hold all the songs, because a CD can only handle 80 minutes, I believe, or 99 tracks. I did not have 99 tracks, but I did have over 80 minutes. And so I had to cut some of the songs. And so I ended up cutting a bunch of these songs, even though these are very short, but I was not very interested in the songs that I cut. Whereas with the shards, I did like the shards. So, all right. So I just have to consult my text file here. Oh yeah. So Shard 1, this was the very first song that I wrote after The Last Breath of the Dying. And I wrote it, so I finished recording Last Breath of the Dying in August of 2001. And then, I don't know, I probably immediately started writing Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror after that. And I recorded this song, Shard 1, I think it was in November. So it was just before I turned 19. So I was still 18. So this song was recorded in 2001, Shard 1. And then I remember I got, so we're doing Shard 1 and Shard 2. I remember I got a new amp for my birthday, for my 19th birthday. And it was like a Marshall half stack. You've seen it in, like I've showed it in some of my videos. Most of the time it's just in the background, but I still use it. I mean, that's still the amp that I use. And it's almost 25 years old. But I remember I got the amp, and so I went to record Shard 2, and I recorded it with that amp, but I couldn't get the levels right. So the EQ and stuff on the amp, I couldn't figure out how to use it properly because it sounded a lot different than my PV combo amp that I had used previously. And so the guitar sound on Shard 2, it does not sound very good. There's like too much bass, and so I didn't know how to set the levels properly. And so then after that, I went back to my PV combo amp and I recorded a couple songs like Shard 3, and also I did a demo version of part 1.6, and then some of these other parts were recorded on, I feel like, maybe not. It may have just been Shard 3 in the demo version of this. Oh no, and then there was also a demo version of, I think, this one, part 2.1. And then after that, I ended up going back to the Marshall, and I figured out how to use it properly. So that's kind of interesting, and it is kind of interesting that I still have it. It's literally right to my side, and if you've, it's in the background of my videos, so that's kind of cool. All right, so I think I've talked about most of it now. Yeah, I talked about everything. Okay, so I'll talk about Shard 2. Yeah, I talked about the amp. With the new amp. Yeah, okay. All right, so I think I'm going to make popcorn now, and then we'll listen to the songs. And so I've got to make the I've got to make the medium white hulless. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we are back, and I popped way too much popcorn. I didn't realize how much it was going to be. Yeah, but it looks very nice, and there are barely any hulls, so it's not going to get stuck in my teeth. So very good. Now, let's listen to Shard 1. So right off the bat, it is just, you can tell how much I hated The Last Breath of the Dying, because this is just like absolute insanity right off the bat. I was so proud of this song, and there's also a couple of sound effects. So on the 1, so if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess it's every other one. There's a sound effect like a bang, and then it fades out, and then there's a bang again after like 8 beats. I was trying to think what that was today, but I can't remember what it was. I probably just like banged something against the wall and then added an echo effect to it. That's probably what I did. I know that's what I did on The Last Breath of the Dying. I forgot to mention that on the title track of The Last Breath of the Dying, I had a whiskey bottle. I banged it against the wall. In my bedroom, the wall was like these wooden planks, or whatever you want to call it. These wooden things, wooden walls. And I hit the bottle against that. I recorded it, and then I added some sort of echo sound effect. I'm assuming that's what I did for this one as well. And then another sound effect occurs shortly. There's also vocals here, but there's also some other type of sound effect. I really like how noisy this is, combined with the super fast, what are those called? Power chords. Yeah, so that was something I like to do, the really fast power chords. That's a common thing in, death metal, and certain bands like doing that. But this was quite challenging to play. Yeah, this chord here, this is what I'm talking about. This is what led to my signature sound. Because I started using these type of chords in like and all over my music after this. After I discovered this, I came up with this on my own, but not really, because if I remember correctly, the band Sepultura also did something similar. I think with the song Desperate Cry, which I believe is from Arise. I think it's track 3 on that album. They do something similar. It's a similar type of melody to this, where they have, so I'm playing the open E string, but this is tuned down, the open low E string. And then I'm playing fret 6 on the A string. And so if I was doing fret 7, that would be the octave of the open low E string. But I'm doing fret 6, so I'm 1 fret down. And so it's an octave minus 1 semitone or whatever. I'm sure that's called something. I don't know the theory thing behind it, but I use those type of chords all over the place on my music. And this is the first, I don't know if this is the first song I used it in, but this is when I really started to become aware of that. The drums are insane. I could not play I couldn't play drums like that. It's too fast. And the vocals, there are no lyrics. I'm just making noises. All right, so that was the song. I paused it prematurely because it's about to end and there's like no space at the end of the song, because it segs into the next song immediately, pretty much. I love that song so much. I think it's still an awesome song today. So I'm really proud of that song. It's hard to imagine that was written almost 24 years ago. What? So it's 2025. This was written in 2001, but like late 2001. So 24 and a half or 23 and a half years ago. So ridiculous. So I was 19 years old when I wrote this. No. I was 18 still. Yeah, I was 18. Oh my God. I had cool long hair back then. I was really hot. I still had crooked teeth, but I had long hair. I had a nice body. And what else? That's pretty much it. I was even dumber than I was now, though. Could you imagine? This popcorn is really good, by the way. Yeah, so all the Hullis popcorn is just, that's my thing. That's where I'm heading. So I feel like all the Hollis stuff is good. The Ladyfinger popcorn is very small. The red popcorn was a little bigger. Red and purple and this, I think, are my favorites. So I think next time I'm going to go to the red. I'm going to go, no. I'm going to go back. Yeah, I'll go back to the red, and then I'm going to go back to the purple. I think I'll just alternate between those two. But yeah, super happy with this song. I don't think I've ever played this song live. No, that kind of sucks. I remember I played it at, there's this guy in my neighborhood. I went to his house one day. He was into more like traditional metal music, not death metal like this. And I remember playing, I don't know if I had my guitar. I think I had my guitar because he lived like just a few doors down from me. I remember being in his basement playing him the opening riff from this song with the really fast power chords. So that riff, it's a power chord on the low E string, and it's 5-3-1 open, 5-3-1 open, 5-3-1 open, and then the open one, it's just there's no power chord, it's just the low E string played open. But this is tuned down to like B or something like that. But that's what the riff is, and it's done really fast. But what I was going to say, I remember playing that at that guy's house, and what did he say? He said, "Oh, the only reason you could play that is because you have big hands or something like that." And I remember we compared hands, and his hands were bigger. That's what I remember about that. I don't think there's anything else I have to say about this. Okay, and then it just it segs into the next song. So we'll just let it seg into the next song. So if you hear how the guitar sounds on this. So this is with my PV combo amp. If I remember correctly, I used to stick like a sleeping bag over the amp. I would put the microphone up to the amp, and I would stick a sleeping bag over the amp and over the microphone. So it would be sort of contained within this sleeping bag to try and keep out outside noise. I feel like that was a good method. I never done that since then. I feel like I probably should have, because I do like the sound of my old guitar sound. I do like my old guitar sound. I'm still using the same guitar pedal that I still use now. This is done with a DoD FX7 guitar pedal, FX processor, whatever you want to call it. Whereas on Chart 2, I'm using my Marshall amp. So you can hear the difference in guitar sound. This sounds much worse than the previous one. I didn't know how to set the levels properly. Right, so there you go. Shard 1 and Shard 2 off of the Forever Trapped in Broken Mirror 2002 demo from 2002. I'm assuming Shard 2 was also written in 2001. I don't know when it was recorded. I think only Shard 1 was recorded in 2001, if I remember correctly. So... all right, so we listened to that. Hooray for us. I think I mentioned all of the bullet points that I that I wrote down. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So we have Kansas City Shred 2, and we have Donkey Kong Country Whistle. So we've talked about this album multiple times. Cassette Jams, probably maybe the third or even the fourth episode where we've talked about this album. Once again, here is pretty young me actually. This is when I was 1998. I was 15 years old. I was a minor. I was a minor back then. There was a hockey game on today, actually. Edmonton and Dallas. Apparently Edmonton won by a landslide. I forgot the game was on because it was a matinee game. I hate those games. They're, afternoon games. So I forgot. I didn't remember until it was 6 p.m. and it started at 3, so it would have been just ending by then. So I didn't bother turning the TV on. So, but hooray, Edmonton won. But yeah, we've talked about this album multiple times. So we're doing Kansas City Shred 2, and we're doing Donkey Kong Country Whistle. So we've done some of the Shred ones before. I think we did One Hand Tap as well. So just to refresh your memory, Kansas City stands for Ken and Chris. So that is Ken, my friend Ken, and me, my friend me. This was us jamming together. This was all improvised. Dave brought his drums over to my parents' house, and for some reason Dave wasn't there. I forget why Dave wasn't there, but his drums were there. And so Ken and I, we probably smoked a joint, and then we went and we started screwing around. Neither of us played drums at the time, me and Ken. Ken played bass. He could also play guitar. I played guitar. But because there were two of us, one of us played drums. And so I played drums on these songs, the new songs, and Ken played drums on the Shred and It's Supposed to Be Sad songs. But we're listening to Kansas City Shred 2, so let's listen to that first. So here we go. We have some slide guitar. So I was using my lighter. So that was a cool thing about lighters, just a Bic lighter. You can use that as a very effective slide on your guitar. So this was just, once again, the word I'm thinking of. I couldn't think of this word before in a previous episode. And I still haven't remembered what the word is. Usually I remember it after a couple days, but I still haven't remembered. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. It's just something to do for fun, the slide guitar. It's not like I ever used it for anything. It was just sort of, it was a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't, Yeah, so that was me on guitar and Ken on drums. So there wasn't really any shredding in that song. It was just slide wankery. But it's always fun to do that because of how funny it sounds. Okay, and so we have one song left. This is Donkey Kong Country Whistle. So this was a different session. This was Donkey stands for Dave, Kong for Ken, Country for me, Chris. So this is three of us. And so back in these days, I don't think Ken had an amp. He had a bass. I don't know if he had an amp or, bass amps are notoriously heavy. So it might have been just the case of he didn't want to like carry it. Either way, we just had my PV combo amp. And so it did have two inputs. And so he would hook his bass in and I would hook my guitar in. We could play at the same time. And then Dave had his drums. But for this one, for Donkey Kong Country Whistle, I hooked my microphone up and Ken hooked his bass in. And so I did vocals on this song. And so this song is very cringy. Very, very cringy. So I'm putting off listening to it, but we're going to have to listen to it. This was improvised as well. This was just a jam session, improvised jam session. I don't know if, we probably smoked a joint before this as well. I don't know. We might have even been drunk. I don't remember, obviously, because this was a long time. This was, by the way, year 2000 or 1999. This one would have been, okay, both of these actually were probably 99, late 99. Yeah, because I'd moved back to Sudbury in 1999. And then that's when I met Dave in school, that school year in September. And then we started jamming. All right, so let's listen to Donkey Kong Country Whistle. That beat that Dave's doing, I'm pretty sure that's a Primus beat. I don't know if the bass that Ken's playing is anything, but... I don't know what I'm doing in this song. I just sort of like do random stuff. This was like the only time I did vocals around other people. Literally the only time. That's not true because I've done vocals like the low style vocals around those guys before. Yeah, that's not true what I just said. Because there's also vocals on some of these other songs. Why did I say that? There was a reason why I said that. I think it was like the non-guttural vocals. Yeah, that's what that's what I meant to say. I'd never really done those vocals before in front of other people. So I don't know when this was. This may have been the day before Ken and I recorded this stuff. But then it might have been a different day. It's very weird. It's hard for me to remember. And it really bothers me that I can't remember that. I don't know if you could hear that. I was doing an impression of the nerd from The Simpsons. And so we're going to hear it again. for that part, I was, my microphone, it was just from Radio Shack. It was one of those $20 microphones from Radio Shack that my dad bought me back in 1997. And it had an on-off switch on it. And so I was turning it on and off. That's why you heard that clicking sound. And here we come to the whistle, which is the reason for the title of the song. All right. There you go. So if you heard what I said, sorry, I dropped your taco. Now, I thought that's what the line was in The Simpsons, but I searched for that clip today, and that's not what the guy says. So I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, this was recorded in 1999, right? Let's say. And so that Simpsons episode apparently was in season 4, which would have been early 90s. So it was years before. So, I mean, it's quite possible that I just forgot what the actual quote was. But we'll show you. We'll show you what the actual quote was.
Where's your taco, mister? Whoops, fell in the fryer. I'll get it out. Oh! 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 Oh!
Classic. Classic. All right, I think that's it for the video. I mean, we didn't listen to much music. I talked a lot. There was a huge intro. So, I mean, what can you do, right? But I think I talked about everything. Yeah. Yeah, I talked about everything. Okay. All right, well, I'll see you next time. The popcorn, once again, popcorn is very good. Next time I'm going with the red. Yeah, I'll go with the red next time. So, I'll see you next time.